Hey everyone, so Phase 2 banners of version 3.2 has been out for a while now, and we're almost on version 3.3, and I really wanted to talk about Miko and Tartaglia, just for a bit, as they are currently the featured 5 stars in said banner. Now I want to preface all of this by saying I don't have both characters, and I'm not planning to get them currently. Now, the purpose of this is not to tell you if you should wish on said characters or not, but rather think of it as another perspective, a glimpse inside the mind of a free-to-play noob. Non-derogatory, by the way. With dreams of having meta-relevant characters and of having a fun and enjoyable experience in the process. Basically means I spend too much time trying to see if a character is overpowered enough to use my primo gems on. So this is a somewhat generalized kind of discussion about Miko and Tartaglia, but hopefully it can still help you with making your own decision. In a previous video of mine, I talk about the 3 things I consider whenever I'm wishing on a character. One is, how much do you like the character? Number 2, what do you need in your party? And number 3, how far are you into the game? Starting off with Miko, well, I really like her character. Being the foxy shrine maiden that she is, who moonlights as a light novel editor. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her that she has a plethora of experiences in different fields and locations. I mean, for the sake of making the best-selling light novel, of course. Now, the thought of wishing for her briefly entered my mind, except Raiden Shogun rerun is soon. Her gameplay and kit is quite interesting. It's pretty common to see other players just using her turrets to deal with bosses and enemies while they just stand there and watch. There's also her burst, which deals pretty massive damage. Now, you could use her as an on-field character to proc Hyper Bloom on such teams, or maybe as an off-field Electro applicator and sub-DPS for teams that need Electro. That being said, there's plenty of other off-field Electro applicators in the form of 4 stars like Cookie, Fischl, and Beidou, which arguably are easier to acquire and use. There's also Raiden Shogun, which is slated for a rerun on version 3.3 as I've said before, who has amazing damage potential and utility as a battery for your team. And not to mention, she's also an Archon. Now, that is not to say that Miko is worse in comparison to said characters, but if you already have at least 2 of said characters, which I personally have, Miko doesn't really bring much more to the table. So it basically comes down to whether you like her more and want to have her on your team, which is more than enough reason to wish on any particular character. Now let's talk about Tartaglia. If you like the might be a psycho-terrorist who may or may not like murdering civilians aesthetic, you know, that whole kind of vibe, then you do you. I mean, you yourself as the traveler is not averse to a bit of maiming and severe bodily harm against your perceived enemies. So it's not like we have a high ground to stand on. And hey, Tartaglia loves his family, right? I'm sure he's a softie at heart. He's just misunderstood is all. Anyways, now as for his kit, Tartaglia has really high damage potential, especially against a group of enemies because of his Riptide, as well as one of the highest hydro application in the game. Now, the caveat for all of this is he must be on the field to do this. So if you want an off-field hydro applicator who doesn't really fit the bill, think about it, we already have Yelan and Xingqiu for that. But for the teams that Child/Tartaglia works on, he excels in them. The international team, for example, with Tartaglia, Xiangling, Bennett, and Xingqiu, or whatever support character you want to put in, easily boast one of the highest damage team comp in the game. Sure, you could replace Tartaglia with another character, like Raiden for example, or pretty much any other character, a true testament to how good Xiangling, Bennett, and Xingqiu is. But the thing is, Tartaglia is still arguably the best character for that spot in said team. So if you need an on-field DPS, big dig damage, and crazy hydro application, then he is a pretty good choice. Just be reminded that you may want to look up his optimal rotations at combos, because he's one of those characters that has some intricacies to their kit, and may take a bit of getting used to. Now, before we cap it all off, I want to quickly talk about Layla, our brand new, always tired and sleepy scholar, a 4-star cryo shielder, and the best way to describe her is, well, let's just say that MiHoYo is doing quite well with not power creeping older characters, while still allowing newer characters to be actually usable. The most notable difference she had with other characters like Leona for example, in exchange for less utility like healing and buffing, Layla gives bigger shield and a bit more damage and a pretty good application of cryo off field. So it pretty much comes down to your own playstyle if you're going to put her in your team or not. So that's pretty much it, everyone. I guess the basic consensus is with wishing on a character is if you like the character enough, they're probably worth wishing on. Because as been repeatedly said about Genshin Impact, it's not that hard of a game. Maybe it's gonna change in future updates and whatnot. That being said, that might also buff some of the other characters. I mean, yeah, like Miko and Tartaglia, maybe even Layla. I mean, just from the release of Dendro Element has already made Miko and even Child much more viable. The best thing is try to enjoy the game, and most important of all, try not to let that tiny little gremlin steal your food. Bye for now, chat. Wait, what?